The safety and health of employees at the workplace are the ultimate responsibility of the management of the organization. It is generally accepted that all share a role in safety. The ultimate accountability lies with all levels of the leadership. The implementation of a safety management system with the intent of changing the safety culture can only be successful if initiated, led, and supported by all management. A common factor in all accredited safety management systems is an element that calls for management leadership and commitment to the safety and health process. It is almost guaranteed that any attempt to change or improve the safety culture at the workplace will fail if there is no total commitment, leadership, and management involvement from the executive right down to and including frontline supervision. Things to remember: safety management system, an ongoing activities and efforts directed to control accidental losses by monitoring critical safety elements on an ongoing basis. The monitoring includes the promotion, improvement, and auditing of the critical elements regularly. Another is manager. Anyone who uses management skills or holds the organizational title of manager and who gets things done through the efforts of other people. Management can also refer to the person or people who perform the acts of management. It is generally accepted that the manager's main functions are safety planning, organizing for safety, leading or directing the safety movement, and safety controlling. All these functions entail the management of employees, materials, machinery, the environment, and processes. These four basic functions of safety management, if integrated into a manager's normal functions, could provide for better management, leadership, and involvement in the safety program and its elements. A positive safety culture can only be obtained by positive proactive leadership. Now, let's have a short activity. All you have to do is to guess the term. Ready? It is what the manager does to predetermine the consequences of accidents and to determine action to be taken to prevent these downgrading events occurring. This may involve the implementation of a risk-based safety management system to reduce risk on an ongoing basis. It may entail formulating an action plan to change or improve existing safety culture. You're right, it is safety planning. Now let's go to the next item. It is the activity a manager carries out to estimate the probability, frequency, and severity of accidents that may occur in a future time span. It is a risk assessment. This is usually done by means of physical risk assessment, critical task identification, and risk assessment. It also entails estimating the effects of risk reduction brought about by a stable safety management system. Hazard and operability studies are part of this function. You're right, it is safety forecasting. Let's go to the next item. It consists of a manager developing standing safety decisions applicable to repetitive problems that may affect the safety of the organization. Policies or standards are the backbone of a structured safety system. These standards must be developed and approved by the executive team with involvement from unions and employees and word from the organization's SMS. The correct answer is setting safety policies. Now, let's move on. The leading document in the safety system is the official safety and healthy policy issued by the executive management. This policy forms the commitment to implement a structured safety management system, which in turn will bring about a change in the safety culture. The policy should be prominently displayed in the office foyer, on the company website, in the employee safety handbook, and on safety notice boards. It's safety and health policy. Let's move on. It is when a manager determines what safety results he or she desires. This includes incorporating a formal safety system with a view to changing the existing safety culture. The structured safety system should contain a number of written objectives defined in the system standards. One objective for the organization could be to hold an executive safety committee meeting each month. Another could be the number of plant inspections to be done by each manager. The safety system should require a number of objectives to be set and met on daily, weekly, and monthly basis. It is setting safety objectives. It is when a manager analyzes certain tasks and writes safe work procedures for performing the work. Based on risk assessments, the task can be risk ranked and the critical tasks identified. This will help prioritize the writing of procedures. Specific inspection procedures, equipment maintenance procedures, internal audit procedures, and other procedures are vital components of the system. It is establishing safety procedures. Next question. It is establishing the priority and following order of the safety action steps that must be taken to reach the safety objective. If the objective is to bring about a change in safety culture, the necessary actions, activities, and steps needed to achieve this objective should be laid out and timelines established. It is safety programming. Now you know some of the basic safety management functions. Let's move on. Organizing for safety. Safety organizing is the function a manager carries out to arrange safety activities to be done most effectively by the right people. This involves allocating persons to coordinate the SMS, to carry out inspections, audits and reviews, and produce the necessary reports for management. Appointment of safety and health representatives, accident investigators, and other persons with specific safety tasks are part of organizing for safety. The structure, manning, development, and functions of the safety department fall under this management function. Integrating safety into the organization. Integrating safety into the organization is the work a manager carries to allocate safety work to all levels of employees. The more the SMS is integrated into the organization, the better the safety culture becomes. Only once the safety activities of an organization are blended into the day-to-day operations of the organization and not perceived as separate functions can safety culture change takes place. Once complete integration is achieved, a positive proactive safety culture will exist. Safety delegation. Safety delegation is what a manager does to entrust safety responsibility and give safety authority to his subordinates, while at the same time creating accountability for safety achievements. Creating safety relationships. Creating safety relationships is work done by a manager to ensure that safety work is carried out by the team with utmost cooperation and interaction among team members. The ongoing safety system requires participation, support, and action from all levels within the organization and cannot be left as one person's, one department's, or one manager's responsibility. Safety responsibility. Safety responsibility is the safety function obligation allocated to a position in relation to the authority of the post, and it determines the level of safety accountability of that post. It is the duty and function demanded by the position within the organization. This lies with all levels of management as well as with employees. The higher the management position, the higher the degree of safety responsibility. One cannot be held accountable for something over which one has no authority. The degree of safety accountability is also apportioned to the degree of safety authority. Job descriptions are vital management tools and should clearly define the safety authority, responsibility, and accountability of each job and each level within the organization. Safety authority. Safety authority is the total influence, rights, and ability of the position to command and demand safety actions. Management has the ultimate safety authority and is the only echelon that can effectively initiate, implement, and maintain an effective SMS and create safety cultural changes. Leadership has the authority to implement and maintain safety and also the authority to take necessary remedial measures if there are deviations from accepted safety practices and norms. Safety accountability. Safety accountability is when a manager is under obligation to ensure the safety responsibility and authority is used to achieve both safety and legal safety standards. Employees to have safety accountabilities in proportion to their safety authority. Leadership is accountable to manage SMS and to provide the necessary infrastructure, environment, and training to enable the system to work. Employees should be held accountable for participating in the system and for following the prescribed standards of the system. Management at all levels is then held accountable to rectify the problems identified by the safety system and to ensure that the high-risk acts or condition highlighted by the system are rectified before a loss event occurs. Safety leading. Safety leading is what a manager does to ensure that people act and work in a safe manner. It entails taking the lead in safety matters, motivating, making safety decisions, and always setting the safety example. This is one of the most important management functions in implementing and maintaining a safety system, and more so when changing the workplace safety culture. This is where change begins. The principle of leadership example states that people tend to emulate their leaders. Most employees want to please their immediate supervisors and do so by following their behavioral example. This could be a positive safety example or a negative example. The attitudes and actions of managers at all levels are among the greatest motivational forces in safety management. Condoning any high-risk situation sends a message that it is acceptable practice, and employees follow the example and continue with the practice, thinking it must be all right as managers have condoned it. Here are the functions of safety leading. Making safety management decisions is when a manager makes a decision based on safety facts presented to him or her. During the process of safety culture change, there will be a multiplicity of decisions that need to be made. This is what a manager does to give and get understanding on safety matters. This is one of the key components to safety culture change and the maintenance of a positive safety culture. This function entails the creation of various safety communication channels from the workplace to management and from management to the workplace. Regular feedback to the workforce on safety matters helps foster safety communication, and reporting by employees informs management about conditions on the shop floor. It is one of the vital ingredients to safety success, especially to safety culture change interventions. Of all the efforts and function carried out by the leadership, positive behavior reinforcement is likely to have the greatest effect on the success of the safety system on consequent cultural change. A safety system is centered around managers and employees. They are key players, and as such, they need to be recognized, especially when they do things right. Safety people have a history of catching people doing things wrong and issuing punishment accordingly. This has not helped progress safety at all. A recognition of employees for adhering to safety rules and for participating in the safety processes reinforces their involvement and encourages them to continue doing the correct things. It is the function a manager performs to lead, encourage, and enthuse employees to take action for safety. Traditionally, incentives in many instances hard cash have been given as safety incentives, but were given mostly for being injury-free, which has nothing to do with working safety. The power of these injury-based incentives is that employees are prepared to hide their injuries and not perform them for fear of losing their safety bonus. This is one of the practices that has created a safety culture of fear, intimidation, and dishonesty, and which pays employees to cheat the system rather than participate in it. Incentives should never be in the form of cash and should never be linked in any way to injuries. They should be small tokens of appreciation that are given to employees who participate in positive safety actions. Examples are maintaining the housekeeping standard in their area, frequent reporting of near-miss accidents, submitting safety suggestions, wearing personal protective equipment, and attending safety committee meetings. Acknowledging employees is vital to the success of the system. The power of a small gesture of thanks and recognition cannot be overstated in its importance in bringing about safety culture change. Hiring and appointing employees is a function in which management ensures that someone is both mentally and physically capable of safety, carrying out the work for a position. Hiring the correct person for the task is a prime consideration for the prevention of accident. The success of coordinating the safety system will indirectly depend on the support it receives from the safety department, and this depends on the quality of safety and health staff initially appointed. Developing employees. A manager develops people by helping them improve their safety knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Management has to ensure that the safety and health staff is up to date with the latest trends in safety and risk management, and that there's an ongoing self-development program in place for them. Further studies as well as membership in local, regional, and national safety and health associations should also be encouraged. Get MAC. The function of all safety departments and personnel should be to guide, educate, train, and motivate all levels of management, workers, and unions in the techniques of accident and disease prevention, and to advise and coordinate the safety system. This should be a staff function and not a line function. All employees have some safety responsibility, but management, senior, and line has ultimately safety priority and is ultimately accountable. The safety department cannot and should not be held accountable for the safety performance of an organization. This has been stated by a number of safety authors, yet safety department traditionally drift back to managing the safety of others. When appointing safety and health department employees, management has a duty to the safety profession to ensure that suitably qualified and experienced practitioners are selected. Safety departments should be professional. Their responsibility is to advise management and coordinate the activities of an ongoing safety management system. They cannot improve the safety by accepting responsibility for safety. They should not direct, try to influence behaviors of employees. Only management can do that. Traditional safety is a thing of the past. New approaches are needed by safety staff if they are to assist in the safety culture change process. Safety controlling. Safety controlling is the management function of identifying what must be done for safety, inspecting to verify completion of work, evaluating and following up with safety action. This is the most important safety management function and is how safety culture is formed, modified, or changed. Step 1. Identification of the risk and safety work to be done to change a safety culture. Based on risk assessments, a manager lists and schedules the work needed to be done to create a safe and healthy work environment and to eliminate high-risk acts of people. If the needed is to change the safety culture at workplace, this would mean introduction of a suitable structured SMS based on world's best practice. All SMS should be based on the nature of the business and be risk-based, management-led, and audit-driven. What are critical elements? Critical safety elements including environmental and employee factors that need to be controlled constantly to prevent accidental losses from occurring. The safety management system should contain some 70 key areas that need to be controlled. They include items such as safety training, safe work procedures, management involvement, energy and chemical control systems, and housekeeping. These are critical safety elements. Critical safety elements are those elements most likely to give rise to losses. Past experience based on thousands of safety inspections and audits has shown that control over certain aspects of the workplace and work practices can significantly reduce accidental losses. Many of these critical elements are requirements of safety and health legislation. Controlling critical safety elements is pre-contact control. This is effort directed toward the prevention of undesired events. Once controls over certain critical elements are exercised, proactive safety is practiced. This determines the difference between a proactive and reactive safety culture. Why these elements? There are usually between 60 and 80 critical safety activities or elements that must be controlled to constitute an effective safety system. These elements may vary from organization to organization and from industry to industry. The emphasis on individual elements will also vary according to the nature of the process, culture of the workforce, and category of business. Examples are mining, iron and steel industry, transportation, fishing, manufacturing, and others. The principle of critical few states that a small number of basis causes could give rise to the majority of safety problems. A few critical tasks could be responsible for the majority of accident and injuries occurring, and these items should receive maximum safety control to minimize their potential for causing the majority of problems. Pre-contact control is directing the safety efforts toward controlling these crucial areas before a loss occurs. Most safety systems are reactive and only institute controls after a loss have occurred. This is termed post-contact control. Firefighting, patch prevention, treating the symptoms, and not the cause. This is the main course of action in a reactive safety culture. In implementing safety culture change management, one should also focus on those safety activities that have the potential to bring about the biggest culture change with the least amount of effort. Benefits. The benefit of controlling critical safety elements is that the work being done to manage safety is channeled towards reducing the risk and potential loss in areas that have been identified as crucial. Some critical safety elements help control the physical conditions and the health and safety of the environment that would contribute to the reduction of losses as a result of an unsafe workplace. The act of cleaning up a workplace helps to clean up the thought processes of those in the workplace. The physical conditions of the workplace have a major effect on the attitudes and behaviors of employees. Positive safety culture cannot be nurtured in a dirty, disorderly work area. Many psychologists refer to behavior modification of employees in a workplace as the key to safety and indeed safety culture success. This does not take into account the fact that if you put an employee into a work area that is poorly lit, disorderly, and untidy, his or her behavior will be a reflection of those conditions. Whereas if you put a person into an area that has immaculate housekeeping, neat stacking, and storage, is well lit and provides a place for everybody and everything in its place, his or her behavior will also be positive and in order. That's where changing the safety culture begins. Other critical safety elements are directed toward the control of persons within a workplace. These controls include critical task procedures, rules, training, and activities to improve, motivate, guide, and train employees in safe work practices. Numerous safety elements help control both in the behavior of people at work and the work environment and procedures. No hard and fast dividing line can be drawn between elements, defining them as either behavior or environmental control. One influences the other. All elements are mini safety culture change interventions and demand certain actions and performances that eventually create behavior and conditions that equate to an ongoing safety culture. Elements to control the environment include housekeeping, lighting, electrical safety, stacking and storage, ventilation, lifting gear safety, demarcation, machine guarding, hazardous substance control, etc. This set an environment that is conducive to positive behaviors and attitudes and eventual safety culture. Elements to control behaviors and ensure safe work procedures include critical task procedures, rules and regulations, appointment of health and safety representatives, holding of regular meeting, safety communication, safety promotion campaigns, medical examinations, and others. Step 2. Set standards of performance measurement. Standards in safety are referred to as measurable management performances. Standards are set for the level of work to be done to maintain a safe and healthy environment free from actual and potential accidental loss. Standards are established in writing for all the safety and health management system elements. Without standards, the management program has no direction or safety expectations established. Step 3. Set standards of accountability. Managements now set standards of accountability by delegating authority to certain positions for ongoing safety works to be done. Coordination and management of the safety management system needs to be allocated to certain departments and individuals, and this standard dictates who must do what and by when to run the system. Step 4. Measure against the standard. By carrying out safety inspections, the conditions of the workplace and the ongoing activities of employees are now measured against the accepted safety standards. Physical inspection of the workplace will highlight instances of property damage accidents and will trigger a follow-up on the control systems to ascertain if there has been a report and consequent investigation. What gets measured gets done, and if there's no formal system of measurement, then management does not know how well the system is doing compared to its own standards and best practice. Conformance to standards set by management is a good indicator of a positive safety culture. For example, are employees doing monthly area inspections? Are critical task procedures being followed? Step 5. Evaluation of conformance. Depending on which measurement method is used, the results are now quantified in the form of a percentage allocated, marks given, or a ranking is established. Safety audits, both internal and external, evaluate compliance with an organization's standards and scores, then indicate whether there is a deviation from the prescribed standards or others. Step 6. Corrective action. The amount of corrective action will be proportional to the amount of deviation from standards set. Corrective action may involve enforcing the safety standards and taking the necessary action to regulate and improve the methods. Once again, standards are established for these corrective actions, and they state who must do what by when in order to get the situation rectified. Corrective action must be positive, time-related, and assigned to responsible persons. Corrective actions could include better communication of goals, objectives, and standards to ensure they are understood. More effective training may be required, coupled with more feedback on safety performances, so employees know where they stand. Procedures and processes may have to be modified or improved. Step 7. Commendation. Commendation is when a manager pays compliment and expresses gratitude for adherence to an achievement of preset safety standards. Reporting and rectification of deviations from standard will become a natural thing for employees to do, and when that happens, it indicates there has been a change in the safety culture. Improved recognition for desired behavior should be introduced. The awarding of a traveling trophy for good housekeeping, for example, creates a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. Since people are competitive by nature, introducing competition in safety will help put some excitement into safety culture shape process. Safety management systems. To guide management in controlling areas of potential loss and to set standards, there are existing safety and health management systems, or SMS, that provide excellent system frameworks. These are sometimes referred to as structured safety programs, but the preferable term is safety system, as they do follow a systems approach to loss prevention. These systems prescribe certain elements under certain headings and give details of what aspects of an SMS should be instituted as a foundation of culture change. A safety and health management system is a formalized approach to health and safety management through the use of a framework that aids the identification and control of safety and health risk. Through routine monitoring, an organization checks compliance against its own documented SMS as well as legislative and regulatory compliance. A well-designed and operated SMS reduces accident potential and improves the overall management processes of an organization.
My name is Wendell Taposal, and I'm a former cabin crew safety and compliance manager of my primary responsibility is really all about safety. I make sure that our department is able to comply with safety, quality, and security management system requirements that's being implemented by the organization. I also perform some risk assessments and together with this propose mitigating actions to address safety issues. We do not really have any direct reports under me. However, there are two of us working on the same job responsibility. So in order for me to be able to deliver my job responsibility effectively. It entails coordination with at least 4 key management personnel, namely the Vice President for Cabin Services. I also interact with the VP for Cabin Services Operations. And of course, my direct superior is the Director for Training and Compliance. And another key personnel will be the Director for Cabin Crew Management. So 4 key management personnel plus 5 group managers handling training, compliance, and basically cabin crew. So a total of 9 crew. The company has a fully functional safety management system, which is actually required under the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulation. So basically, the structure of Cebu Pacific's SMS has 4 levels based on hierarchy and function. These are the Executive Safety Review Board, which is headed by the Airline Chief Executive Officer. And then that is the highest level. And then we have the Airline Safety Review Committee, which is being chaired by the Chief Operations Officer. And then on the department level, we have the Safety Review Committee, of course, chaired by the department heads. And for the line personnel, we have the team managers who are leading the Safety Action Group. So the ESRB, or the Executive Safety Review Board, meets on a quarterly basis to discuss safety performance and high-level safety issues that are encountered by the organization. While the rest of the committees, they meet on a monthly basis to keep tabs on trends, updates on safety issues, and hazard mitigation. So basically, that's the workflow, the process. If we're going to trace back, okay, the ICAO in 2009 issued the guidance that to the civil aviation authorities in the world that safety management system should be established by key players in the aviation industry. So basically, Cebu Pacific's SMS was established that same year as in accordance with the directive of the CAAP 2009. So that's safety reporting is the key activity or the function for all employees of Cebu Pacific. Everyone is actually expected to be able to file a safety report, take it upon themselves to be safety custodians. Actually, there are 4 internal safety reports being generated out of the SMS, namely the air safety reports. That is actually the report form being used by pilots. The cabin safety report. That report form is being used by cabin crew. We have the ground accident and incident report, primarily designed for ground personnel, but if there are any incidents that happen on ground, anyone can also use that same report form. And of course, the voluntary report, which can be used by all employees. So there are 4 safety reports being generated out. When a safety report is submitted, first it is processed by the safety department. They will be the first recipient of the report, and then they will analyze it. And if a safety issue is identified, a report will then be endorsed to the concerned department for appropriate. Mention that safety reports first are being processed. So this is done by means of first classifying the report into a category. The company uses a 5x5 risk matrix. So a safety report can be classified as extremely low risk, and then medium risk, high risk, and extremely high risk. So the reports that are classified under extremely low and low risk are just recorded in the system for trend monitoring. no action is actually needed uh, unless we see a spike or a trend in this kind of incidents. While for the other categories, such as medium and high risk reports, significant action needs to be taken by the concerned department to reduce the risk to as low as reasonably practicable. And for extremely high risk events, that we need to these events need to be addressed within 24 hours actually. Often these reports are poses extremely high risk that it should be reported to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines within 72 hours. So based on these categories, that's how findings are being addressed. It has been said that the safety management system is expensive to implement. Why not try an accident? If you give it a thought, although flying is considered the safest mode of transport, one accident alone, say a mid-air collision, has a devastating effect with the loss of so many lives. So this kind of accident can cripple an organization and even has a multiplier effect to the whole industry. So that being said, the numerous accidents and incidents that transpired since the birth of civil aviation is what actually made air travel the same. I'm trying to put things into perspective. Okay, so when performing accident or incident investigations, or when you're doing a hazard identification or risk assessment, you actually have to consider the human element. A concrete example is the conceptual shell model, SHELL, being used in aviation human factors, which suggests that in an accident or an incident, the human is rarely, if ever, the sole cause of an accident. So with this in mind, human factors training has been incorporated in the safety management system and has been highly adopted in the aviation industry. So I guess this gives us a better understanding of the cause of safety occurrences and therefore leading to a more effective mitigation strategy. So that's the impact of actually having an SMS in terms of reducing or lessening incidents involving. SMS is a requirement, meaning everyone needs to implement it. I think it's considering that this is a highly regulated industry and every airline's mantra is safety as the topmost priority. I think SMS has a big role in an organization like Cebu Pacific. So, having said that, the International Civil Aviation Organization established guidelines that can be implemented no matter what size of the organization may be. Therefore, you can have an SMS that is functional but commensurate to the size of the company or the organization. Meaning you don't need to be a big airline to implement SMS. SMS is for all, and I think SMS is a key function in before you join the company. Actually, you have to undergo SMS training. We said that the airline's mantra is safety as a number one priority. So even before you do your job or perform your job, you have to understand what is your role in maintaining safety within the organization. So in this training, you are also taught or made familiar with the safety policy of the organization. So the safety policy basically contains the commitment of the management towards safety. So initially you will undergo training, and then you will receive recurrent training for SMS every 2 years. So basically, safety is the lifeblood of every employee. Safety is part of our daily routine. When I was still a cabin crew, for instance, we conduct our safety briefing before we commence a flight. The pilots also do the same. They conduct their separate briefing, and then we join together, pilots and crew, and do a general briefing that is facilitated by the pilot in command. Another example will be safety memos. Safety memos are regularly being published by department heads. In our case, the cabin crew is expected to know what is the latest safety memo before they commence work. So there is also a validation process where your safety knowledge as a crew is validated during the briefing by a series of question and answers. So it's really a big part of our routine to be safety aware or safety conscious. In addition, the safety department, okay, this is for the benefit of the whole company, actually publishes safety bulletins as needed. For example, when there was an issue about the lithium battery overheating on hoverboards. If you know that there was some news about that before, so our safety department issued a safety bulletin about that. And they also have a quarterly safety digest that they publish, which features articles about lessons learned from previous safety events. So this enables employees to be aware and hopefully not repeat the same mistakes as from what happened in previous incidents.
SMS should be risk-based. SMS should be management-led. SMS should be audit-based. That's all, and thank you so much for listening. Hope you learned a lot from our safety management system discussion.